Hello, my name is Caryn Watson. I'm a pre-kindergarten teacher at Roland Story Elementary, and I'm a graduate student at Morningside University. My research study was on letter naming and sounds of 5-year-old students in the pre-kindergarten classroom. Early literacy development has become centered on young children due to the increased research of literacy development and the importance in young children's education. By giving students rich early literacy instruction, it is imperative to helping the students become efficient readers by 3rd grade. The early literacy implementation promotes effective, evidence-based programming, instruction, and assessment practices to schools to make sure students are becoming proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade. I chose this topic to research because my school district just implemented the Wilson language training programs, including foundations, and I wanted to see the validity of using this program with pre-kindergarten students to learn their letters and letter sounds. My literature review focused on phonological awareness, predicting early literacy skills, and intervention for early literacy. Phonological awareness is the ability to recognize that words are made up of sound units. This instruction leads to success in phoneme awareness, letter sounds, reading, and spelling. When taught these skills directly, children have success with phoneme segmentation, which is letter sounds, reading, and spelling. Predicting early literacy skills. Factors that predict the early literacy skills are cognitive ability, language ability, and literacy-related knowledge, which are all child-based. Family-based factors involve family history of reading problems, home literacy environment, the socioeconomic status of the family, and the opportunities children experience with verbal interactions. School-based factors are school resources, academic focus of the school, and the quality of the educators. Let's think about this. If current trends hold true, 6.6 million low-income children in the birth to age 8 group are at increased risk of failing to graduate from high school on time because they won't be able to meet the NAEP, which is the National Assessment of Educational Progress, proficiency reading level by the end of 3rd grade. This is why early literacy is so important with our children. Intervention for early literacy. Some research-based interventions are peer-assisted learning strategies, also known as PALS, direct instruction or corrective reading, and reading recovery. These programs specifically are targeted to teach students phonemic awareness, phonics, sound blending, passage reading, story retelling, and comprehension skills. The purpose of this research study is to determine if the use of the Foundations Literacy Program, a high-quality, research-based program on letter naming and letter sounds, improves pre-kindergarten students' language fluency. The hypothesis was that pre-kindergarten students would improve their letter naming and letter sound scores with the use of the Foundations program. The research design that was used was an A-B design. The variables were the independent of the Foundations treatment and the dependent variable, which was the change in the group's performance from Phase A compared to Phase B, looking at the intervention placement inventory assessment. The research of this study can be used to help teachers teach early literacy skills to students using the Foundations program. My work as a practitioner is to impact whether or not I continue to use the Foundations program as an intervention and how I select interventions in the future. I have 15 pre-kindergarten students in my classroom. They vary from different SES and racial backgrounds. The materials that were used were a computer, Foundations intervention placement inventory, Foundations letter cards, letter sound cards, keyword puzzles, and 2 puppet owls that came with the program. The FAST weekly letter sounds probe was used, and the Iowa Tier website. This was an 8-week period that this A-B research design was done. Phase A was for 4 weeks. Phase B was for 4 weeks. During Phase B, there was 5 15-minute sessions a week with the students. Progress was monitored weekly and graphed using the FAST probe and monitored on the Iowa Cheer website. Data was analyzed at the conclusion of the 8-week intervention. There was a significant increase in the mean scores of my Foundation's intervention period. The mean was 32.66 while the standard deviation was 14.57. Compared to the mean scores of the baseline period, mean was 16.80, standard deviation of 13.42. All students showed growth. The initial mean score was 16.80 and the end mean score was 32.66, which I was very happy to see with my students. Two big implications were drawn: the amount of time that Foundations was implemented. For 4 weeks of seeing how the students performed without direct teaching with Foundations, and students were immersed in other teaching of letters and letter sounds during this time, which could have impacted growth. As a pre-kindergarten, early childhood teacher, it's so important that we don't waste any time teaching these skills. Some limitations were instructional time that students received. I tried to give them 15 minutes every single day, but that is hard. So fidelity was a limitation. It was hard to be consistent with those 5 times a week. There's schedule changes, people come in. Attendance was a limitation. Restricted sample. The 15 students were only in pre-kindergarten. There are 5-year-old students that are in preschool. There are also 5-year-old students that are in kindergarten. The age of the students and the SES status of the students. Some suggestions for future research would be a different research design. I feel that Phase A disserved some students by not implementing any instruction of Foundations, because this is such a great research-based intervention. Not being able to teach my students it for the first 4 weeks of Phase A, then continued research to strengthen and validate the findings of this study. By observing children in kindergarten year to see how Foundations has impacted them. Studies of Foundations on preschool and kindergarten 5-year-old students. In conclusion, the use of Foundations with pre-kindergarten students was successful. Ensuring that there's proper instruction time, consistency, a wider range of 5-year-olds, and other SES groups will help to see the effectiveness of Foundations overall. I want to thank all of my professors that I have been able to work with while doing my graduate work through Morningside, and I want to thank all of you for listening and giving me this opportunity. Thank you.